Yo, what's up guys, but I'm Fire here back from the video, and today we're going to bring you guys another defense in Madden 22. This one's going to be kind of a blitz and coverage hybrid, so we're going to be talking about the nickel 2-4-5 odd formation, and for this formation, it's a pretty good blitz that's in it that we'll talk about, but there's also very good coverage just because of the way defense is set up. You can pull off blitz out of it, so I'll show you guys one of my traditional defenses I like to use this year against, specifically bunch. And I'll kind of just explain how to do that. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, you don't really need much for the personnel. Just make sure you get safeties at linebacker because you don't know which one you're going to be using depending on the side. But I mean, other than that, you should be pretty much good to go with this defense. We are on the Chicago Bears defensive playbook for this. But yeah, you can leave auto flip on. You don't really have to go into the coach adjustments, which you'll see why in a little bit. But I mean, yeah, with that being said, let's get straight into it. Also, before we get into the video, I do want to remind you guys to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section which formations or schemes or plays you want to see next. But the play we're actually going to be running is going to be cover 4 drop, which my camera is in the way, so I will just smooth that real quick. Cover 4 drop right below me now. And this is not a matched cover 4. It has curl flats instead of those quarter flats, so you'll see it might play a little bit different than the one that you're used to in 3-3-5 wide, but it is very good against certain plays like flood and verticals, which you will see once we hop into it. So again, just run that cover 4 drop right there below me. And you don't need any coaching adjustments as far as that's concerned. Even though it isn't matched, we're still going to run those zones stock, and there isn't even coach adjustments in practice mode for me, so you'll see how it plays with those. Alright, now we're going to start out with the coverage way. How do I run this with coverage first, and then we will hop into the blitz and how to run that. But starting out just from an offensive view here, wrong controller, but viewing it from the offensive standpoint, I might be expecting pressure, especially if I were to go as far as press, which I do not recommend pressing, and I'll explain in a little why. But if I were to go with the press look, this would kind of scare me a little bit because the coverage and blitz look the exact same, so that's immediately an advantage for the defensive player. But I mean, just seeing this, I might be hesitant. I might have to go with a setup like this out of flood instead of just the stock one with 5 routes out, and then all of a sudden he rushes 3 people and I'm like, dang it. But yeah, we'll show the defensive setup first, and what you're going to do is, again, I don't like to press out of cover 4. I just see those guys get burned a little bit too much, especially the outside quarter, so we're not going to press, but we will go ahead and turn this short side of the field into a cover 2. So for better example, we will move this ball, but you're always going to want to turn the short side into a cover 2, just so that your deep half doesn't get beat. So we're going to go ahead, put X in a cloud flat, and we're going to put Y in a deep half zone. So here's a look. And that's pretty much what you're going to do. Now, it's interesting. You can do a couple of different things with these extra hook curls. I could, one, leave these 2 guys here. I could set my hook curls to about 5 yards or even 0 yards to help defend those running back type routes. Or I could man him up. So we'll just show what it looks like stock. Here's it is just looking like this, and then we will go ahead and just snap like a stock flood setup. So we'll snap it. You see how Y is kind of covered, X kind of covered, the flat decently defended, but I'll show you guys the way that I usually do it, and the way that I usually do it is going to be with A. I usually just man him up on the tight end. The tight end, he's going to be on flats, he's going to be on delay fades, and this will kind of guarantee that I don't have to worry about him with my user, which is certainly something that will be helpful to you. So we'll just rush the base 3 people. You can contain if you want to, but this is how we are going to run it. Now, again, let's just run stock flood here. We'll snap it, and you see how everything just defended well. Of course, I kind of have to decide between Y and X, but you see how on the sideline on the right side, which is the main concern, everything else you can kind of adjust out of. And you see how these guys on the right are defended perfectly. So we'll go to the replay, and you see flat defended. Now the out route defended by your curl flat, and the deep route is taken care of. So everything just seems to be defended well. Clowney actually does a decent job with the curl flat and kind of lurking over on the in route. But if you aren't getting pressure, you could, of course, send an extra guy. So if I really wanted to, I could either send a Clowney off the edge. I could kind of run it like this. Or I could send John Johnson just on a blitz if I wanted to. But I would usually run it like this if I had to. Something like this. Now, again, I kind of like pressing X over here, just because it's not a big deal of him being pressed because he has safety help over the top, but as these guys on the right, they sometimes don't, especially if you're a motioned out route. that's the case where I wouldn't. So I could go with something like this. I could also maybe hard flat if I wanted to. Hard flat would maybe take away a route like this from Joe Mixon, where if they went with a setup like this, now our hard flat's there, and now you actually saw we got instant pressure with that blitz, which I wasn't even intending to. I didn't even know that this got pressure, but this blitz sometimes does get pressure off the edge. It usually don't. We'll run that a couple more times throughout the video, and you'll see you probably won't get pressure, but sometimes just the way that you run the blitz stock, you can kind of get pressure like this. But you see, coverage seems very good the rest of the way because it is. Everything's taken care of now, and that was one of the more popular flood setups. Of course, if they go with something like this, the coverage will only get better out of the same setup. So again, really all we did for that setup was I just went ahead, blitzed Clowney, I contained, and then again I kind of pressed X, put him in a little hard flat, and then put Y in a deep half. Again, I usually like to move this guy to the outside a little bit also. And then the last thing is you man up the tight end, just like here. So we'll try the blitz again. And here you see it doesn't work like I was saying, but coverage still pretty good. And of course, maybe the B's open a little bit, but you'll live with them throwing those little 5-yard flat routes. Trust me on that one. All right, just kind of another way that you could do this really if you wanted to is you could kind of turn in this left side into man coverage. So what I mean by that is I could man up X on X, and then I could also man up this Clowney on the running back. So I could kind of run it like here. If I were doing this, probably what I go to is I could either use the safety right here, and then maybe I throw a Y in like a little curl flat. This would probably be my go-to setup out of something like this. And this is just another way to run it. This is a little bit more complicated, but against something like verticals, maybe you could run this. You're going to have to take RB yourself, and then you maybe man up the tight end because he is open, but this setup would not be terrible against something like flood as well. But you see, geez, we got no pressure there. But again, just different ideas for you guys to do. And I really just would recommend keeping the cover 4 on that bunch side because the cover 4 will do a really good job of defending things. But the moment you start adjusting crazy out of that is when you will probably begin to give up, big plays. But again, bunch is really good. You might not be able to stop it perfectly, but as long as you can kind of contain it, that's our objective. So let's show the blitz now. What you're going to do for the blitz is you're actually just going to blitz all linebackers and contain. So that's all you have to do. Now we're going to still run something like this on the back end. We're still going to have our cover 2, but we're just going to kind of hover. So this is a very situational thing. I'm not the biggest fan of this 2-4-5 odd blitz, but pretty much all you do is you kind of stand here. When the ball is snapped, you'll kind of stand over that guard, and then this pressure will get through. So this time they blocked their running back, but you see how the coverage on the back end would be pretty solid. You kind of get that contain glitch, so-and-so from Clowney. And again, just blitz all linebackers and contain. On the back end, I still like this cover 2 adjustment. That's me personally, but you see how the middle of the field is open, so when the ball is snapped, you have to try and run up as quickly as you can. But there you see we kind of force a disengage as well as the contained blitz from Clowney. So now we'll just send the running back out on a separate route. So you can see the blitz get through a little bit cleanly, but that was with a 6-man protection. He was on that kind of check and release hook, so he was technically blocking. But again, blitz all linebackers contain. You could even get someone faster than Clowney off the edge. I do think Clowney is pretty good though in that spot, at least for me. But if you know your pressure is getting through, you could also blitz these guys or press. But again, pressing kind of iffy, but you see you really don't have to really engage. You just kind of have to stand there for a split second, and the pressure will get through. It's pretty reliable blitz, especially when I just send everybody. The blitz will usually get through because, of course, it is a 6-man blitz against a 5-man protection. You would hope that, or secondly, 5 versus 5, because you are using this guy, but since you hover there, it might as well be 6 versus 5. But again, you have to be very careful because something like verticals is probably pretty good against this. So let's just run the stock verticals type of a look. And again, I'm going to kind of hover. The pressure gets through, but you see how you might have something open. So be careful with that. But pretty much probably the objective, if they were to block something, they're probably going to go with something like this out of verticals. This is one of the best setups in the game, just delay fade A. So this, I believe, does a pretty good job against this. I don't think it just doesn't work, or yeah, I would assume that blocking the tight end works. Actually, I haven't tried it, but here is a little bit of interesting because it's not really matched, so you might want to start manning someone up if this were the case, and I'll show you guys what my kind of adjustments would be for this. But we'll just go ahead and snap the ball. This time, I don't know what I was doing with my user, but I didn't hover there a little bit as long as I should have, but you see the blitz didn't work there. That might have been on my user, so we'll set it up again. And again, I'll just delay fade A out of this verticals play, but this time we'll hover a little bit more. And you see it just doesn't work, get through as cleanly. So now you have a couple of things open. So what do I do to take away this particular play? Because if you're going against a good bunch player, they will run this play kind of exclusively against your blitz. And this is A, where if he's blocking his tight end, I'm not even going to run the blitz because it's not going to get through. So what is the reason of me sending 5 people? If I'm not going to get there, at that point, I might as well send the slot cornerback also and say, let's just send everybody, because there's no reason for me just to send this blitz if I know he's blocking his tight end. That makes no sense. But if you were, let's say you didn't know which play he was running, which is entirely possible if it were the first drive of the game and you hadn't picked up on tendencies, probably what I'm going with is I'm going to, what the heck is wrong with my play art? Oh, there we go. So probably what I'm going to do here is I would man up LB on RB and say, let's hope for the best and let's hope my guy defends him well. Because honestly, B might get open a little bit, as this is the wrong play, of course, but honestly, you got to kind of live with something. And if I want to really cross-man the running back, I could, but he's going to get open regardless. I know that for a fact. So, I mean, if I could, I would set maybe a 0-yard vert hook just to take care of the running back, and then I would take the receiver myself. So what I mean by that is I would go with something, let's just press again. Oh, shoot, I got to reset. I hate how when you reset the defense, they go on opposite sides, but because now the blitz isn't going to work, so I have to snap the ball quickly and just got to throw that. You got to love practice mode this year. Super helpful for the user. Just super easy. I honestly should start doing it just in game if I can figure out a way to do that. But we'll press, we'll blitz all linebackers, contain. And what I was talking about with the running back route is I would put LB on a vert hook. I would set my hook curl zones to 0 yard with my depth. And that would kind of help him defend Joe Mixon, but he still wouldn't go all the way to the flat. So if you don't get pressure by then at that point you're in a tough spot. But he would kind of help on RB. And again, on the back end, you could still throw something like this out. I'm perfectly fine with going with something like that. And then again, they would delay fade A. So you just have a lot to worry about with this play, to where you probably want to go in coverage, as I still didn't audible because I'm an idiot and I continue to forget, which is pretty annoying. But we'll finally audible, and then we'll actually show what the play looks like. So now, honestly thought I did audible. So here's the play art. Again, we'll press, blitz all linebackers, contain. I'll throw L1 on a vert hook. Put our cover 2 out on the other side. And you really shouldn't get beat down the middle when you're running this defense either. I've ran this a lot. Haven't really got beat down the middle yet. So you should be pretty good with this defense, or this offense rather. So again, right now I kind of am hoping and your blitz did go through, or it doesn't go through, but you see how just the stock cover 2 on that left side does a decent job of defending it. With some more room to work with, that could be a little bit worse, but it does a decent job, a little bit better than a stock cover 4 would, I can tell you that for sure, or cover 3. But you really would want to take that deep route with your user, because otherwise you're giving up 40 yards, whereas you could give up 10 yards. But this is all hypothetical. If I knew he was running that, I'm going to run the coverage version. Simple as that. I'll rush 3, and you can block your 6 against 3, but we're not going to give up any big plays down the field. But that's pretty much going to wrap up the video. If you guys enjoyed, want more out of this formation, let me know down below. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and peace. I'm out of here.